Welcome to the Orasta channel. In this video, I will explain the story of the Donghua series Swallowedstar, Season 2, Episode 70. On the episode before, in his first practice, he did it with the help of Babata and Duo E. Luo Feng broke through to level 1 Star Traveler with his physical strength and has a very rare ability, the strength of the Golden Diamond Body. After practicing for a few days by fighting with Duo E, and many times tasted death, Luo Feng was finally able to control and use the rubbed Cloud Rattan's true power as a self-defense armor. After that, Luo Feng started eating wood crystals to boost his spiritual power because he understood the advice about a universe warrior's power very well. Under Duo Yi's guidance, Luo Feng also got ready for the next training. Then how does the next story go? Let's just jump into the story. Luo Feng spars with Duo E in this third practice. And at the beginning of the practice, Duo E used his mental skills to summon butterflies through his artifact dice. And, as before, Duo E made Luo Feng extremely depressed. Even here, Luo Feng was using his physical armor with the rubbed Cloud Rattan armor and the shield from the Heaven Forbid shuttle. Slowly, his body was now growing until he caught a glimpse of the center of his mental strength through his overflowing spiritual sea. So that he could see a crystal in the center of mental energy that gave off a light energy he didn't know the name of. After a year has passed and it is now 2060. Babata is still trying to put together a small spaceship by looking for materials left behind in ancient ruins that he can use. But because of that, he is still having trouble finding a good one to use. Because most of the materials are useless and considered junk by Babata. And on the other side, Luo Feng had been able to withstand a gravity load of more than 210 tons. Now that his physical strength, or external strength, has reached the second level of a Star Traveler, as well as his mental strength, which has also reached the second level of mental mastery for a Star Traveler. Although Luo Feng's strength had already increased several times, it was beginning to be able to keep up with Duo Yi's previous movement speed. However, he was still pressured by Duo Yi's fighting style, which had thousands of years of experience. Even just to land a single strike, he could not. Until, in the middle of the fight, something strange happened in Luo Feng's spiritual sea. Luo Feng again felt the crystals that were within his mental energy core overflowing into his spiritual sea. And he asked Babata about what had happened to him. Babata explained that it was an inherited soul seal that was made for Luo Feng by Babata's master. Or Luo Feng's master Huyen Bo, which, unbeknownst to Luo Feng, had been instilled into Luo Feng's soul the moment Luo Feng officially became a new disciple. And now the seal is starting to enter the period of the integration stage or the unification of forces. It was in this process that the excessive pain impacted Luo Feng. Until suddenly, Duo E, who has long been a being with an artificial program created by Babata, is here secretly sabotaging Babata's system. So she is free from Babata's control. And Duo E, who had been restraining Luo Feng's movements with her mental strength, was now carrying out an overreaching action. Even though Babata just realized what Duo E was doing and tried to take control back, but it was too late. Here, the goal is for Duo E to take Luo Feng's body by using a secret technique she has used many times before on his target. After that, Duo E used a concept by injecting suction energy into Luo Feng's spiritual ocean. This caused the energy to form a black hole that slowly sucked Luo Feng's soul and spiritual power away. Babata, who saw this, did not let Duo E do this. So, even though she couldn't control it, Babata kept trying to stop Duo Yi's plans. And because Babata couldn't take over the virtual world system that Duo E completely controlled, she had to ask Duo E to stop what she was doing. Babata also says that it will not be done. It was also because Duo E was just a virtual body without a soul and a memory copy with an artificial body. But Duo E was still determined to absorb Luo Feng's spiritual and mental energy. Under the effects of the technique, Luo Feng still couldn't move because he was stuck in Duo Yi's mental strength. And here, all of Luo Feng's energy was constantly being taken in by Duo E. So that memories of the past pop up one by one in his spiritual realm. Because he has made it this far, and he has worked hard and made sacrifices to get here. To get out of that situation, Luo Feng's mental strength increased a lot. Then it exploded like the Big Bang Theory says happened when the universe was made, making new life. After that, Luo Feng fully activated Huyen Bo's inherited soul seal. With that mental strength that had fused with the inherited soul seal, Luo Feng not only regained his spiritual energy, but also his mental energy. Despite that, he was also able to escape the soul transfer technique that Duo E used on Luo Feng. Duo E was sent flying to the edge of the practice arena. Well, Luo Feng's mental strength also got through to the third star traveler in that situation, which was marked by the appearance of lightning in the sky, which struck Babata. The cruel queen of the crystal planet, who had killed her own clan to get power, was shocked by Luo Feng's growing strength, causing her to catch a glimpse of his master's shape in Luo Feng. Then she thought back to his first meeting with Huyen Bo. Just then, Duo E was reminded of his past, the first time he was defeated. Although Duo E lost because of the difference in cultivation level, she still respected Huyen Bo's figure and character. For not only sparing his life, Huyen Bo also realized his mistake and forced Duo E to come to terms with his past actions. And finally, Duo E decided to become his retainer, risking his life to stay loyal to Huyen Bo's side. Duo E, who was still connected to Luo Feng's soul in his spiritual sea, Luo Feng accidentally saw the appearance of a hexagram formation filled on each side by Huyen Bo's servant. And Duo E said that they had tried to use mental energy to bring Huyen Bo back to life after he had died during the last war, but in the end, it was a pointless struggle. Even his servants, who were already at the immortal level, all died. They gradually caught up with their master. At that time, Duo E thought that he was tired of being an immortal, but on the other hand, she was also afraid that he would taste death. Luo Feng replied that strength and death were indeed a part of life. But Duo E emphasized that Luo Feng's words were completely wrong. If there are beings who already have the power to make laws, then all defects in life can be repaired. But unfortunately, Duo E didn't have that opportunity, and he hoped that Luo Feng would be the one to fix it. So, the conclusion from the earlier incident. When Luo Feng realized that Duo E used his last memory to tell Luo Feng about the hexagram formation method, actually, Duo Yi's goal was to teach Luo Feng about the law of the universe, which is that it is possible to bring someone back to life by using the hexagram formation method. Then, after that incident, Babata also congratulated Luo Feng for passing the final stage of training to fight with Duo E. Because of his success, Duo E was also recognized as a worthy disciple of Master Huyen Bo. Here, Duo E, who was happy even though she was living an illusion, finally thanked Babata for giving her the chance to meet Master Huyen Bo's successor. After that, Duo E gave a last message to Luo Feng, telling him to continue and fight for Master Huyen Bo's inheritance. Then, after the parting, it ends with Duo E taking out a butterfly from her body and then becoming a statue that adorns the Red Castle. Here, Luo Feng finally understood the risk of the Duo E technique, which had almost caused him to die but had instead made him sober. That life in the universe is so incredibly cruel. As an example of the methods and all kinds of actions carried out by Duo E, who did everything possible to gain strength to survive. However, she chose the path and sacrificed for his master as a meteorite star master in the end. Babada is here to warn Luo Feng that if something bad happens to planet Earth and Luo Feng can't deal with it, then Babada will have to take Luo Feng away from planet Earth. We know that Huyan Bo's inheritance is a top priority for her. But Luo Feng insisted that if that happened, he would overcome it and prevent it. We know Luo Feng is a person who loves his family and always protects those closest to him. Then the scene moves on to the American warship harbor in the north. As you can see, with the many military vehicles, combat aircraft, and warships operating, coupled with the busyness of the military forces, it appears that an emergency occurred. Also here was an aircraft carrier for the third time in 3 months, transporting the corpses of dead king-level monsters. In this operation, they will be commanded by M.O. Henderson. In addition, the American and European sides will carry out joint operations. This time, the goal of the operation was to find a transport plane that had lost contact while carrying metal pieces from ancient ruins. But strangely, after the plane's last known location was found, it was as if it had been lost without a trace. Even with the most sensitive metal detector, they could not find it. Even the pieces of the ship that seemed to have disappeared from the Earth were not found. After seeing the incident on the holographic screen, M.O. Henderson wonders if they are facing something dangerous that needs to be looked into in detail, so that their party can get everything ready to deal with things that are not wanted. And M.O. Henderson's current subordinates say that the European side will arrive soon. On the other side, the Europeans were sending in a cruiser led by Keita, a war god-level warrior. Since this operation is a joint one, it seems likely that both the European and American sides will work at the same time to increase their security. While things are still normal at the port, preparations will begin for the joint operation. Strange things happen in nature that make the birds fly quickly to switch places, as if they are about to be chased by a scary monster. When the once bright clouds turned dark and scary and monsters started roaring, even the military troops rushed one by one to put themselves on alert. Because of this, one of the commanders in the control room told the Air Force to send a plane to the scene right away to find out what was going on. After being investigated through the plane, one of the pilots found the appearance of a monster's shadow from under the sea. But the pilot failed to lock on the monster as a target. And instead the monster was approaching rapidly, moving toward the American military port. On the other side, M.O. Henderson immediately told his troops to go into combat mode and attack the monster with heavy weapons owned by the American military. In the meantime, the commander, who was in the control room, looked worried and anxious because an Emperor-level monster was front of him. Because, according to him, the energy waves that are being picked up are getting closer and are going over the limit of what the detection system can see. In order to find out where the monster is. Here, the port of the American military base adds more fighter aircraft units so they can attack it again. When the plane got lower, they saw that the monster was moving quickly. M.O. Henderson immediately told everyone to be careful, but the monster was moving so fast that one of the fighter planes was hit and destroyed. As it got closer, even just passing by, it was easy for the steel battleship to break in two. M.O. Henderson was really shocked when he saw what happened. After that, the monster went through several warships at once and quickly destroyed all of them. It wasn't long before the monster came closer. After that, the monster smashed into the harbor wall. So, the other soldiers got scared and were surprised when a mysterious monster with one golden horn showed up. When the monster showed up, it was so big that the sea water rushed onto land and drowned all the military troops in the American port. M.O. Henderson had to step in to deal with it because it got out of control. But when M.O. Henderson got close to the monster, he was surprised by how much energy it gave off. When Imo Henderson saw the look in the monster's eyes, he shook because it made him feel so scared. With the signal for the start of the fight, the monster let out an extremely domineering roar. On the other hand, the European side will move toward the military port in the United States. Here, Keita, who was watching from a distance, was shocked by the mysterious monster in front of him. The scene changes to the city of Jiangnan Base, which is where Luo Feng lives. Since the beginning of 2060, 81 more warriors around the world have reached the level of war god. And the year when all countries will strengthen their troops and each country will rise up to fight back against the monsters that have caused havoc on the earth. After Luo Feng and his lover, Su Xin, had passed the hurdle between life and death, which almost separated the two lovers who loved each other. Here is the happy news from our main character, Luo Feng, who has reached adulthood and finally married Su Xin as his wife. And in this scene, Luo Feng finally registered himself to officiate the wedding, and they immediately started the ceremony. After spending all day with Su Xin, Luo Feng was tired and went to bed right away. Seeing that, Su Xin also took a picture of this moment. He also keeps all the memories of the times when they were together. Luo Feng later gave Su Xin a gift of jewelry. It was the necklace he found in an ancient civilization. Luo Feng also wished that it would always keep Su Xin safe. Here, Su Xin was a little surprised because it wasn't often that she saw Luo Feng as such a romantic man. Babata, who has seen all of this, thinks that marriage is how people on Earth reproduce. But she thought it was all a bit strange. She thinks that marriage is how people on Earth have children. But she found it all a bit confusing because men had to take an oath and give gifts to women. Luo Feng answered right away, saying that he didn't marry Su Xin to follow the procedure Babata had mentioned. After all the organizations and countries in the world have gathered a huge amount of wood crystals. At the same time, the number of warriors on Earth who reached the Star Traveler level rose dramatically. Not only that, but all countries also have enough warrior to stop the monsters. So, at the start of 2060, it felt more peaceful than in previous years. While the main reason he married Su Xin was because he felt very comfortable around her. Just as the two of them were about to kiss, Luo Feng received a phone call from Inspector Jia Yi. Because the reason he called Luo Feng here was in the palace of the war god, they would be holding a very important meeting. Even Leader Hong asked all warriors in every country to attend this meeting. So Inspector Jia Yi hoped that Luo Feng would quickly follow them to the war god's palace. And here, Luo Feng had to part ways with Su Xin again. Scenes return to an American military port. There, too, all the American soldiers are still trying to beat the golden-horned monster. Here, the Americans used all their assault weapons and heavy weapons to weaken it. But it's too bad that no matter how hard they try to beat the monster, it's not working at all. Several fleets of warships have been easily destroyed by him. Here, M.O. Henderson attempted to evacuate some soldiers. Because a lot of people had been injured by the attacks of the golden-horned monsters. He also asked to immediately send data from the monster, which turned out to be a monster at the Emperor level. A few moments later, Keita informed him that he had completed his mission, which had gathered all the remaining American fleets to strike back at the monster. M.O. Henderson immediately gave orders to all combat units to launch attacks from the air and from the sea. Because, after all, they have to finish off these monsters as quickly as possible before reaching the mainland. The soldiers immediately responded, and at that moment the attack was again carried out. Because this monster moves so fast, it's hard for soldiers to aim at it. So the military decided to send out ballistic missiles to follow the monster's movements. It actually made the golden-horned monster depressed. However, because this monster had a different intelligence than normal monsters, it easily dodged the attacks with its speed, causing the missiles to collide with each other and instantly destroying them all. When Keita and the other soldiers saw that their attacks didn't hurt the monster, they were amazed. Because how could that monster get away in the blink of an eye? When Mo Henderson saw that this monster was very dangerous, he asked for them to keep going faster. But while they were chasing, the golden-horned monster vanished from the radar. This, of course, left them all confused about where the monster had gone. Until they finally figured out that the monster was right above them. Keita, who has a plan, asks several teams to follow his command, while others were told to turn around. Thanks to the command Keita gave, they were finally able to find the monster and managed to lock its movements. Keita also asked for the use of a laser cannon. Mo Henderson knows very well that this monster moves so fast, but he thinks the laser cannons on the fighter planes will be able to hit it. Also, the gun has a high rate of fire and is very accurate. With all that, Mo Henderson was sure that Monster Golden Horned could not avoid the attack. Finally, the laser cannon they fired at the monster hit it. The soldiers were very happy about this. They would also do a close-up investigation to make sure the monster was dead or still alive. At the same time, the Golden Horn was closing in on them. Mo Henderson became very worried and asked them to disperse immediately. Whereas here, Keita was very surprised, because how could that monster still be alive? Even though the laser cannon has very lethal attack power to kill monsters at the king level. But all of that didn't work at all for the monsters he faced. As a result of all that, several fighter planes had to be affected by the attack from the Golden Horned. Keita told Mo Henderson that their attack was totally useless. Knowing this, Mo Henderson also gave the order to boost the laser cannon's attack power to the maximum level, and get ready to launch another assault. To be able to attack him again, Mo Henderson asked Keita to come back and lead the air formation and lure the monster. This is done in order to move the monster into the attack zone. Keita immediately responded and got going. Not only them, but also Mo Henderson will return to join the attack. The American military also went back to launch an attack to finish off the monster. It's a shame it didn't work. After all, the Golden Horned monsters were able to move very fast. So, even though they had electric missiles and cannons, they weren't fast enough to lock onto his movements. So the only way is to slow down the monster's movement. Realizing this, Mo Henderson told his troops that he had a plan. Keita gets it, and he will try to protect them. Mo Henderson also told all troops not to attack before he gave the order. Mo Henderson finally managed to freeze the Golden Horned with the power of ice. But all that could only hold him for a moment. So this was the last chance they had of being able to attack the monster. The military immediately launched all the attacks they had on the monster. But even though they were able to hit it, it turned out that the attacks they launched were a complete failure. Not even the Golden Horned monsters were hurt enough to kill them. Seeing this all of a sudden made Mo Henderson confused. Because how could that monster survive the laser cannons at full power? Even monsters at the Emperor level would definitely be hurt. But the golden horned monster didn't take any damage at all. At that moment, the monster suddenly disappeared, which turned out to be a monster that immediately attacked the American military port. In this case, even though the US and European militaries have tried to fight back. But whatever power this monster has is stronger than what they have. The story moves to the palace of the god of war, which could be seen. Finally, Luo Feng and Inspector Jia Yi had arrived. He thought that this meeting was likely to be about national defense. Because, in the end, a lot of people from the military did come. He also invited Luo Feng to sit with the 5 elders. Because then it is easier for them to talk to leaders in other worlds. Here Luo Feng also saw the 5th elder, named Atkin, who is said to be the second most powerful leader in Europe after Eastbourne. However, he keeps a low profile and is not involved in much between warrior conflict, and very rarely appeared at meetings. But saw him coming on this day. So it was confirmed that the meeting this time was very important. A few moments later, M.O. Henderson finally showed up, and is now looking at his condition, which looks very bad. Seeing this, Sokolov got him a drink. Here, Luo Feng didn't know what M.O. Henderson had been through to turn out that way. A while later, Hong and the god of thunder, Lei Shen, finally showed up. Without saying much, Hong gave the most important information right away. That in the coastal area of America, something has happened that has never happened before in the history of people. For what had happened made Hong worry that it would spread to the rest of the country. Suddenly, all of the fighters were surprised and confused. M.O. Henderson will also play a recording of what Leader Hong just said so that everyone can understand what he was talking about. As seen in the footage, the golden horned monster managed to annihilate all of the fleet and its crew. Not only that, he also used his special ability to suck it up to all the soldiers in that place. Like the beginning of its appearance, when it was still in the form of an egg that sucked monsters to strengthen its strength. M.O. Henderson said that the power of the golden horned monster destroyed the whole military port, and all of the American and European military forces that were there. No matter how hard the soldiers tried, they too were eventually sucked in. Even the military harbor was swallowed up, leaving almost nothing behind. Because of that event, everyone was shocked. M.O. Henderson was the only one to survive the tragedy of the Golden Horned Monster Massacre, while Keita and 12 warriors at the war god level had to die in that incident. About 50,000 more soldiers died in that battle. They fight until the end to beat this monster. But they can't stop the monster because it is too strong. Luo Feng, who heard all this, immediately made himself very concerned and angry. It turns out that Babata's warning will come true. And here, he also did not expect that humanity would actually encounter such an unprecedented disaster. And that's my explanation in this episode of Swallow Star. Yes, this time it's really tense. And I can't wait to watch next week's episode. At this time, between episodes 70 and 71, I combined them into one video because the previous video detected ID content. And in the next episode, I will explain the interesting details of episode 72. If you like my video explanation, please like and subscribe so that my channel can grow. See you next my video, bye.